Hey, welcome. Carm Capriato here with episode 452. Work-life balance is a challenge for most of us, and finding the right mix keeps successful people in harmony. Have you discovered what harmony means to your life? Well, I invited the Bohlmans to tell you their story.
Started making the changes. It wasn't just in business, it was in our lives, which then that obviously is going to trickle down into our business. And now we are very much into, personal development, reading more books, developing people. People. It's all about people, period.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hey, welcome. Carm Capriato here with episode 452. Work-life balance is a challenge for most of us, and finding the right mix keeps successful people in harmony. Have you discovered what harmony means to your life? Well, I invited the Bohlmans to tell you their story. Hi, friends. Carm Capriato here, the Aftermarket Podcast Guy. Just amazed of the podcast archives of over 600 expertly facilitated episodes that add value to your life. They are cataloged by series and topic, so you can find what will help you learn and grow. As we continue to evolve and adapt to the trends in our aftermarket, let this podcast, Remarkable Results Radio, be your beacon of learning to help you in your personal and business growth. If ever you have a question, idea, or a guest you'd like me to have on an interview, just email me, carm@remarkableresults.biz, and I will answer. Hey, did you know that some of the very best shop owners and technician training takes place at Apex? Carm here with a quick question for you. Have you ever been to Apex at the Sands Expo in Las Vegas? Maybe this is your year. I've got more information for you coming up that you'll want to know. In the meantime, mark your calendars for the largest event of its kind, November 5th through the 7th, 2019 in Las Vegas. There's many direct flights from cities all over North America. Hope to see you there. By the way, the talking points for this session is at remarkableresults.biz/E452. Okay, Brett and Danielle Bohlman agree that they are everything the other is not, and they know it, and they use it to their advantage instead of it being their demise. Brett and Danielle own Highway 7 Service Center in Newell, Iowa. It's a small town. Danielle wasn't in on the business at the start because she is a mother of 4, and for her, family was first. Find out how Danielle changed her commitment and how they make family and business work so that they have a life. One thing for sure, Brett and Danielle have a bunch on their side that have helped them find their rhythm. They give credit to, among the few, the Bible, Dave Ramsey, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and John Maxwell. I think they're in good company. That group has had a positive influence for them and helped keep their heads in the right place. So look, have you struggled at all finding harmony in your work-family life balance? Well, get in deep with this episode because I know you'll relate to this very transparent story. Hey, a warm welcome to Danielle and Brett Bohlman from Highway 7 Service Center, Newell, Iowa. Hi, guys.
Hello, Carm. Thanks for having us.
Oh, glad to have you here. Brett, you've been kind enough to be on episode 360. We did a millennial shop owner thing.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, and you also did a rant. You did a rant for us.
I did.
Fixing our leadership deficit. You were really good with that. That was, for the record, 031. I met Danielle, was it at Apex or Vision? I can't remember.
Yep, Apex.
And that's when I realized who you had a fabulous significant other. and I said, wow, married and in the service business, we have to have both of you on. So here you are, and thank you so much for finding the time. I know we had to play a little logistics to make this happen. So Danielle, did you always love this business?
Absolutely not.
Oh, man.
Very true.
I would say that's a new love. Here within the past year even, I would say I've grown to really love the industry and just our own business here in our little tiny town. When Brett came to me with the idea of opening a shop, I was not on board.
Take me to that day when he says, honey.
I thought he lost his mind. And so my mom owns her own salon. And so I grew up with a parent who had their own business, who put in a lot of hours, a lot of time. And it was something that I didn't want to do, mostly because I didn't understand that you could own a business and still have some freedom.
Well, wait a minute, but that took time. I mean, did it happen right away?
No.
Oh, no. No.
Were you looking at the sacrifice that needed to be made?
I think I went into it with a little bit of resentment, thinking he was going to spend all of his time at the business. And we opened the same month that we had our first child. And so I saw a lot of time being put into the business. And what about us? And so, yeah, just trying to find that harmony in our life. We now have 4 kids and a business, and we're very busy. So knowing that it's possible to have this business, but also have time for not only our marriage and our children, but the other things that we like to do and enjoy in life. Finally finding that harmony.
The business didn't stop the family.
No.
And the family hasn't stopped the business.
The business. Yeah, it's quite
Tastes
awesome.
great, less filling.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. So take me to the day, Brett, that you mustered up the energy that said, Danielle, I'm going to open up a shop.
Well, literally, I was at a point where I had enough. I was working in a dealership at the time, and I had what was called burning desire.
Okay.
Where it didn't matter who was going to say no, or quite frankly, even maybe what Danielle said, but I'm glad she went along with it, that this was going to happen. So definitely wasn't on board with it. Voiced her opinion about her mother and her business, and how it's going to, be a big time robber and possibly could be a big wedge between us. Went ahead with the risk, and quite frankly, she was right. It was a wedge. It was a big time robber in the beginning, but anything worthwhile is always uphill, as John Maxwell says. So that was definitely one of the steeper climbs. But once we started going, after so many years, and making the right changes, then we were able to kind of get back into a life with each other and harmonize the business and our personal lives that we have today. But don't get me wrong, it was a struggle. There was some sacrifice. And my 2 oldest kids, our relationships are just a little different than it is with my younger 2, just because of that time difference.
I love the word harmonize. And let me help the audience understand that really is work-life balance. But yet work-life balance is kind of one side than the other. And I think harmony kind of flows between all the issues. And I like that word. I think it's the right word to choose. Now, was there any major pivot in the business along the way? You've been in business, how many years now?
See, this December would be our 9th year.
Your 9th year. Was there any pivot along the way that, you started to make changes so the harmony can happen and the family came in? Did you give up some of your responsibilities, Brett, so that you could have more harmony?
I would say the pivot was, and the epiphany of maybe opening up her eyes a little bit was, I don't even exactly know how she came across it, but she did some searching on the internet, found a consulting company, and we went to one of their boot camps. And we kind of sat there and like, wow, is this what we really should do? Just scared out of our minds. But then looking into the future, saying like, well, we can't do it this way forever. This is ridiculous. Booked out a month and we hired an employee. That didn't make anything better. It almost made it worse, more work, and not getting the profit that we need and deserve. So we were like, well, let's just jump in and do it. So we did. And then we started going down that process and implementing things that they had been talking about, actually recognizing that you do need a service advisor. You do need someone who has some sales skills, and started making the changes, started dialing some things down. Doesn't mean it was easy.
Did you say, oh my God, I can't believe what we chewed off. We'll never reach that pinnacle. But, I think when you look back, you'll say, if we didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we kind of keep having new visions for our business. So when we first opened, I think Brett and I thought it would just be him. He would be a one-man shop. That would be the lifestyle. That's what we were going to do. Well, then it was very supported by our community and our area. And so then we're like, oh, we need more help. So then we got the idea of, oh, we'll hire a technician and life will be good. And then we realized, oh, we have a technician and now there's still cars coming in. And now Brett's working even more hours to try to take care of our customers and work on cars. And so then we're like, we need an advisor. And it kept growing into more. I think one thing that's really cool about Brett and I is he's very much a visionary, and I'm a very much person that wants to integrate to make the things happen, the parts come together. And so he has a vision, and then I try to figure out how we're going to make it happen.
That's perfect.
Yes.
That's what every CEO wants. They want the doer on the team.
We're very fortunate there. Yeah, I'm the doer. He's the dreamer.
That's just perfect.
That's why we sought out, a coaching company. He had a lot of visions, and I'm like, how do we do this? Like, we need to learn how to have a business. You're an amazing technician, but we don't know anything about owning a business. And so we sought out that company. Then we felt like we kind of were outgrowing that. And so then we needed to even pursue further what's next for Highway 7. And we always want to keep growing and keep staying ahead of the curve. And so it's just a lot of ideas, and then how are we going to make it happen?
I guess it's just so fortunate that you realized that you moved from having a hobby to a real business, a real profitable business, because that's what it was. You're a single technician owning a business. It's just a hobby. That's really all it is. A place to go every day to play with your hobby.
Yeah, hobbies are fun, though. It wasn't really getting very fun within 14 hours a day.
Well, I guess you're right, because you were so committed to your customer that, that was the pressure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You hit it right there. Nail on the head, or head on the nail, whatever you want to call it.
Marriage was okay through this whole thing, though?
It was a lot of transitioning. Like I said, we had our first baby, like our first daughter was born the year that we opened, or the month that we opened the shop. So we were learning how to be parents, and we were learning the new dynamic of husband and wife with a child, and, Brett maybe not getting all of my attention anymore, and me not getting all of his anymore, because he had kind of his own little baby as well. So, it's been challenging, but one thing, we've always taken time for each other. We've always got away from the business, got out of it for, maybe a weekend or a day, and just taken that time for each other. But
now, Danielle, the marriage comes first, the business comes, how are you guys prioritizing?
We always put marriage first. Marriage and family are first. I like the word harmony too, like you touched on earlier, Carm. Brett brought this to my attention. I don't know, within this last 6 months, probably, he used that word harmony and explained to me how I was always trying and seeking a balance. Like, you can spend this many hours at the shop. You need to spend this many hours with me. You need to spend this many hours with your kids, and so on and so forth. This many hours working out, or whatever it might be. Harmony is so much more accurate because it's not time-based, but you're intentional about that time. So maybe you're at a season where you're spending a lot of time at work, but yet when you are home, you're intentional about your time with your family, your kids. Maybe you aren't in a season where you can spend, 2 hours a day working out like you'd like, but you have a good harmony there. You're still being intentional about what you're eating and maybe spending 30 minutes. So yeah, it's just been a shift. Like, we've had to shift during different seasons where maybe there's more attention on one thing or another, but finding that harmony between those things has really helped us. And then when we notice, maybe marriage is slipping a little bit, where we're maybe a little more irritated with each other than normal. Okay, take a time out. Let's spend some time on our marriage. Let's get away for the weekend. Is
that what you do? Just get away? Let's just get away and try not to talk shop?
Right?
Very hard.
Talk about shopper kids, but that doesn't always happen.
If the audience could see Brent's face, he just did the proverbial left or right no.
I think she's starting to like it just as much as I am.
Yes, that's the problem.
If you're taking the weekend, time out, it's probably healthy. Slap me if I'm wrong here. It may be healthy because you're both partners in the business, that you do, share. In the intensity of the day and the family, he wants to share a vision with you, and you have a chance to say, oh, tab A, slot B, right? It's
yes.
almost like you want that, what do they call them? Like you said earlier, a boot camp, a retreat. It's almost like here's Danielle and Brett's
Yes.
retreat. It's working on the marriage, but it's thinking about the business.
Right, because that's our life. It's part of our life. One thing that we've done as a shop that has really helped us drastically is we have a great leadership team. And so, once a quarter, we do take the day off of work. We get together with our leadership team and we have that time where we step out of the business and look on it and work on it. And so that helps Brett and I to not spend so much of our time alone working on the business, since we have a team in place where we can do that. And then also weekly, we have a 90-minute meeting with our leadership team. And so we have designated time to really talk business and to work through, challenges we're having and issues and things like that. And so that's helped us a lot when we do have maybe a vacation, that we don't have to spend it talking about work the whole time.
Are you guys afraid of anything?
I definitely get fears every once in a while. Absolutely. Gosh, I'd like to think everybody does. I think that's also a good thing too. That means there's something out there that I want to pursue. However, maybe fear is stopping me. Somehow I need to learn to sometimes overcome that fear too.
In the podcast opening, I mentioned Apex. Now, let's quickly clarify. Apex is not the same as the SEMA show, and I think you know that. Although both are held in the same week in Las Vegas, at the SEMA show, you'll see cool specialty products, and I get it. I've been there. Wow, tons of fun. But if your livelihood is keeping your customers' vehicles on the road, and that's how you earn your living, then you have to attend Apex, because Apex is the business side of the aftermarket. Now, Apex is where you can see, feel, touch, and talk the business of the aftermarket. Everything you need is under one roof, including new tools and equipment, advanced training, hands-on demos, and one-on-one meetings with your suppliers and manufacturers, needless to mention the networking you have with your peers. And with your Apex badge, you can also visit the SEMA show. One badge does it all. So plan now to attend Apex, Tuesday, November 5th through Thursday, November 7th at the Sands Expo in Las Vegas. Hey, to learn all about Apex and plan your visit to Industry Week, visit aapexshow.com. There's been a lot of talk lately on the show about labor rates, and, every coach will sit there and say everyone has the fear of, making big decisions in the company. And that would be, for example, raising a labor rate to what the business has to make in order to be, wildly successful. You just, you brought it up. I can't see you not making that decision, because there's so many shops out there that don't have coaches and haven't been through that discipline. And they're making money, and they've got the right labor rates for, the profit they need to make for what the market can hold. So that may not be a fear of yours, but is it a fear of growing or trying something new?
Yeah, as far as raising labor rates and stuff, yeah, let's just do it. Push the button.
Non-issue.
Oh no, I'm talking more risk, way riskier type stuff. I'm talking like another location, big, hairy, audacious, BHAGs.
BHAGs, I hear you, man. Yeah, that's cool. That's important. Will you let him do that, Danielle?
I actually approached him about a second location, so which was kind of out of my comfort there for a while. But now that I see that we can have this business and have the time and simplify things, but still be very successful, I'm more open to those things. More of my fear, one of them that I used to have, and I've overcome this with the right coaching and the right tools and knowledge, is fear of being successful in a really tiny town. Worried that maybe this was just a trend thing, like we were new and everybody came to us at first. Well, that's not going to last forever. Or maybe there's not enough population in the area. And so can we survive forever here? And those are more of my fears at the beginning of business. And so I have more things like that. Brett, we've kind of balanced each other out well. I had the fear of raising labor rates, things like that in a small town, and he just went full force. And so I kind of I'm going to close my eyes. You do what you're coached to do. Just do it. Don't talk to me about it. And then I got over that pretty easily.
You mentioned tiny town twice so far.
Yeah.
Do you know the population of your town?
Yep, about 850 people.
Oh, my. I was waiting to hear like 20,000, but
that's what most are waiting to hear.
50 people. Well, we've done interviews with other extremely successful shop owners in these tiny towns, and they say we just defy all the odds. And
yes.
and so I can see that would be a fear because the population is so small, but that must also drive the marketing and the success and the customer service and the image, knowing that the pool is so small that everything needs to be done almost perfect.
Right. And that's something we're still learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Have you grown year after year?
Yeah, actually, we're tracking. This could be our best year yet. So that was one thing too. Bringing up the leadership team, we actually sat down. Q1 is like, well, what are we going to do? And one of the goals was, let's go less cars and higher ARO. So fortunately, that goal is looking very good right now.
You had said just a moment ago, Danielle, about the second store and the thoughts that were kind of, transferring between both of you. What's the incubation process between both of you on making that a reality? I mean, sometimes we say things and it sits for a while and we play with the idea. Is this a year process to possibly make a decision to go forward?
Right now, it's on our kind of like 5-year track. We sit down like we've talked about once a quarter and make our goals. So at the beginning of the year, we sat down for the year and we kind of looked at what we wanted projection wise for the first, for this year, and then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And we made it more of a 5-year goal. So who knows next year if that's still going to be on track or not, or if we want to change it or do something different. But yeah, right now, I think we're both on the same page about what that looks like.
Good for you. Books, seminars, courses, authors, talk to me. Have any of those? Yeah, yes. So who has been steering your life? Because you know how big I am on reading. Of course, our mutual friend Barry, loves to read, and he's been on the show a lot. Explain to me why reading books and going to seminars and listening to authors is important.
So Jim Rohn, I don't know if you know who that is. Okay. So he equates the most successful, most wealthy people, some of the things they leave behind in this world. So do you want to know what one of those is?
Sure.
It's a library. It's their personal library. So I think that goes to show reading's pretty important. And it's very influential in our lives. I know a book I'm reading right now. I just started, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Excellent book.
Old one. That's an old one.
Very, but I mean, heck, if you're going to study Andrew Carnegie,
I know, huh?
Why not? Why not? Why would you leave that book on the shelf? Pick it up and read it.
Yeah, that's a read every couple of years because there's always something you're going to get out of that Carnegie book. Always. That book should change people's lives overnight.
Yeah, I agree. And really, it lays out all the secrets or tricks or hacks to success. And, one thing keeps showing up over and over and over in that book is burning desire. Burning desire. It's an obsession. It's not just, I want to lose weight, but I'm not losing weight. No, it's all you think about. And when it becomes all you think about, there's nothing stopping you. That's how I got this business going. It was burning desire. Everybody was telling me, no, this ain't going to work. This ain't going to work.
Isn't it amazing how powerful your thoughts are?
It's not. I would say it's not the thoughts. It's your beliefs. It's your beliefs. Think about it. People die for what they believe in.
That's true. And those thoughts need to turn into beliefs. If not, they're just going to be wasted on brain power. You're right. Let your thoughts turn into beliefs and then drive every decision that you make toward those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. One quick little story because it's funny. So I remember Danielle and I went to one of Barry Barrett's classes. It was his road show. And then, he did this phenomenal class. And then at the end, he was talking to everybody and he said, he goes, this is all easy, simple stuff. All you need to do is read these books. And he started listing off all these books and said, you just read those, you'll be doing all this stuff just like I am. He said, but you won't do it. That's why you got to pay me to come up here and do this and that. And I thought, I'm going to show that guy. And then Danielle wrote down all those books and we went out and bought those books right away. And next thing you know, I'm like, man, those things look really nice in my bookshelf. Well, got to go to work. And they sat there for 2 years. And then I started reading them.
They were trophies.
Oh, yeah. Shiny book covers, like, oh, yeah, I got them. But wow, what both of us, what we were missing out on is huge. So much in the book.
Great story. Hey, if you could pick up one new skill instantly today, what would it be?
Is patience a skill?
I would say selling. I've never been on the counter. And so to be a service advisor is intriguing to me. I hear, training that Brett's taken. We go to classes sometimes together. It's something that I've never done, but if I could just instantly be great at it, it'd be kind of fun to be on the counter. And I love people and I love our customers. And so it would be neat if I could just do it instantly and be great at it.
What are you guys doing to help the industry at all?
That would be technician training.
Are you providing it, or are you making sure your people are?
Both, but mostly providing it in-house. So that was another pivot in our business where we just hired these two really young, fresh, green technicians, and we really have to work with them. We really have to train them. So, but what a better opportunity is for someone like myself, not getting any younger, and I get to share everything that's inside this head with them, and then also get to be there and sit there, wow, like, look at this. Like, this is a product of Highway 7. And I'm not the only one involved in this, mind you, either. We had a rock star technician, Drew, out in the shop, and he's also doing the same thing, believes in it just as much or more than we do, and also just a finisher of the product. So it's also one of these things that it's uphill, but what a tremendous opportunity.
The team is an extended family?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Someone might say it's Brett and Danielle's business or Brett's business, whatever. No, it's Highway 7 Service Center, and it's at the top, and all of us are at the bottom. There is no hierarchy. That's one thing I want to make very clear too. Like, it has very little, nothing to do with me totally, or even Danielle. It's everybody. Everybody's got a stake in it.
Did you build the culture because of who you are, or did you build the culture because someone told you needed to have a strong culture?
I think we built the culture because of our past experiences. Brett worked in a shop where it wasn't quite the way he wanted it culture-wise, and I worked for two good employers that had amazing culture, and I loved where I worked. And so I think we kind of just brought together that we obviously want to have a place where people can come and enjoy work and be like family, and know that they can be open and honest, and they're not going to be condemned for it. And just the core values that we have in our life, we want to just, obviously it's not just at the shop, we want it throughout our life. So a little bit of who we are, but also just our past experiences, I think, got us in the right frame of mind for that.
Now, culture became real easy once we started to identify the right people and put them in the right seats. That was a big game changer. Is more of a, you can't just hire anybody and insert them, obviously, because we've had that. And
it took you a while probably to get this team where it is.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Now, it didn't have to, but it did.
Let me assume you had a whole bunch of wrong hires.
Yes.
Right. And you realize, you probably hired for aptitude, not attitude.
Yeah.
We've done that. Yeah.
And now it's all about attitude, I bet.
Yep.
Which is why you're so committed to training. Let's hire the right culture fit, and let's make them a great whatever, fill in the blank.
Yes.
And all of this training, all of this culture, all of this greatness that goes on in your company all came from the decision you made of hiring a coach. Give yourself some credit that you had the foundation of what it took, and someone else was maybe steering the ship a little bit, but you were driving. I mean, that wasn't right. Steering and driving. You were the engine. They were steering.
For me personally, it took someone to show me that there was hope and a future and something that we could do and be successful at. For me, that it took a coach to help me see that more so.
Yeah, but you're not you're the process person. How are you all over that hezy stuff?
I needed someone to help me see it.
So would you like the story? Okay. So I don't know if you remember the first time we spoke, Carm, but man, I was kind of down in the dumps. We made a really bad hire for up front in the counter. We had him way too long, and business wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't us. It was not good. And so I was going to end my time. We were going to end our time with our one coaching company. And man, I was just starting to grab for straws. I mean, we're just grabbing for straws anywhere. And then I reached out to an individual and we talked some, but next thing you know, this individual became a very big part of our inner circle in our lives, not only in our business, but in our lives. And started making the changes. You know, it wasn't just in business, it was in our lives, which then that obviously is going to trickle down into our business. And now we are very much into, you know, personal development, reading more books, developing people. I mean, people. It's all about people, period.
That's the secret.
Yes. Now, right people. I will stress that, but absolutely all about people.
How long does it take to find or to notice or to recognize right?
We still have not figured that out. We're getting better at it. We have identified what our core values are, so it helps us in hiring. But there's still times where you might get someone in the shop thinking that, oh, they're same values as us, and then they're there for maybe a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, no, we aren't. And it doesn't have to be every single value has to be exactly the same, but you start to understand, you know, true character when you're working with people every day. And so then there are times where you understand, like, this isn't the right person, or maybe it's the right person, but in the way wrong seat. We've had that before, where we've had to shift someone from the counter to the shop and things like that. But I think the biggest thing is that you might not have the right person, but what we used to do is we'd keep them for a year or longer. Now we're understanding that the right people in the right seats makes everything easier, makes things flow smoother. And so we identify these issues sooner and take care of them. Where before we might identify an issue, maybe the wrong person, but we didn't take care of it. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we've learned here, probably within the last year, is to identify quickly whether this is a good fit or not, and for both them and us, so they don't have to just keep doing a job that they're not loving or not successful at, but to identify it right away and to take care of it.
The labor pool, it's got to be so tiny.
Yes.
Oh, it is. It is. But I know Danielle and I just discussed this before we got on, and I would rather work a lot harder, you know, more labor coming from myself and even from our other teammates, rather than inserting someone and passing off some of those, you know, delegating some of those things to them and just be the totally wrong person, not doing be able to do, have the get it, the wanted capacity to do it.
So everyone steps to the plate while you're on the hunt for someone, and that's the mark of a great team and good culture and great leadership in the company. But what does an average take you to hire a technician? 6 months, 4 months? What's it take in a tiny little town?
We've kind of taken on something new where we're hiring technicians out of school. We hadn't done that before. And so now that we're taking on that mindset where we're just willing to put in, you know, a lot of time and a lot of thought and a lot of process into training these technicians, I think it'll be easier for us. Not easier to hire, not necessarily easier once they get into the shop, but easier to find technicians out of school to come work for us, but then it'll take a lot of time to train them once they get there. And so as far as finding people, technicians in particular, we've kind of thrown out the window the idea of hiring a master certified technician that's willing to come and work in a town of 850 people. We'd rather, you know, get these techs out of school and train them up.
Growing your own. Hey, customers, guys, any special hack for referrals and retention at all?
Just having a good relationship with your customer. That's really the biggest thing.
Community and you guys have to be like tight.
Yeah, some of the things that we like to do, we do a lot of community involvements. We'll do parades. We'll do a fall festival every year. We do like Mommy and Me painting parties. We always get inflatables for the town festival every year. We like to do things like that. I don't necessarily know if that always brings in a ton of customers, but then they do know that the shop in town wants to be involved with them. Whether they come to us or not, it's just something that we can give back to the community and be a part of. And it just, I don't know. It's one thing that I love. I love giving back. That's one thing that I've always loved about our business, is being able to do that and provide for others. And so we do a lot of community things. I think that helps. But Brett's right. I think having a good process on the counter, taking your time with the customers, all that keeps them, retains them. We don't do a lot of marketing. We don't do a lot of, I guess, things like that.
Well, relationship marketing, I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
I mean, just having that relationship with that customer,
Right.
you know, when they come in, well, you know, how are your parents doing? How is, you know, the kids? And just remembering all their names. That's a big thing. I know that's one of my unique abilities is I can remember everybody's name. And then I can remember everything we did in their car too. So
photographic memory type thing?
Yeah, I can actually remember, you know, the technician do it or myself doing it, whatever have you.
But not if I say, can you bring a gallon of milk home after work? That's a little different.
Yeah,
that's called selective memory.
Oh.
Sad but true. Sad.
How do you guys, I mean, we talked just a few minutes ago about, you know, going out and taking a little weekend, but, you know, I was going to ask you, one of the questions was, how do you guys re-energize? Is that it, or is there something else?
One thing that I like to do to re-energize is getting together with, now that I love the business, getting together with other people in the industry. I think it's always good. You mentioned Apex, Vision, those type of things. We have an SOS group that we get together with every other month. Being around like-minded people, especially like-minded people in the industry, that's always recharged me. It's kind of gotten me excited again. I don't like being around the people that are just going to talk about all the negative stuff. I like the new ideas and the exciting things. I love, you know, remarkable results for that reason. So things like that really help re-energize. And then, of course, the time away is always nice. But yeah, it's good to be around like-minded people.
Do you always go together?
Yeah,
almost always.
Pretty much almost always. Yeah.
That's perfect, because you're selling, you're buying all these great thoughts together. You don't have to come back and say, hey, Danielle, I heard this. And so she's right there with you. This whole networking piece, to me, is one of the biggest things in association membership and in going to conferences. It's great to hear the speaker and take great notes and walk away with a workbook, but it's the breaks in between. It's the dinners. It's the purposefully shaking someone's hand and introducing yourself and saying hello. And you just confirmed what we all know in the industry, that not enough people realize that one of the great secrets of being so successful in business is networking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to add one thing to the re-energizing. I'm not really good at it yet either, but gratitude, practicing gratefulness. That will get your motors running.
That's powerful. So tell me about that. How do you do it?
Oh, man, I am a classic whiner. I love to whine and complain. I love to blame my situations on my environments. You know, another story comes to my mind. Jim Rohn was with Earl Schoaf, you know, and he said, I used to have this list, you know, I used to blame the government, the taxes and things. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of relate to that. And then Earl Schoaf looks at it, he goes, well, that's a mighty impressive list you got there, Jim, but there's only one problem. You're not on it. Right? So you got to look yourself in the mirror and look at what you do have. And we got a lot of great things going for us. And I guarantee there's a lot of people out here listening to this right now that may be thinking that they don't, but I guarantee if they look back with some gratitude, they do.
I mean, what do? Do you take a list and start writing down all the good things that are going on in your world and stop and say, oh my God, look?
A little bit, yeah. And sometimes when you're networking with other people, you start listening to some of the things that they're struggling with, and then you get humbled pretty quickly. You
don't want to drag yourself down, like you say. I had no idea you were like that, by the way. None. And did you make a transformation? I mean, are you no longer a negative attitude guy?
Oh no, I'm good and getting better. But that's just it. So I was very much into, buying the lie, eating it up. And then negativity just spawned negativity and spawned negativity until I got the right people in my life that changed that all around.
Did you help him, Danielle, get up and over that?
I would like to think I did.
Did you let her?
Not at first.
No. And I say this with love, but she's always the one that's like the instigator, the person behind it all. And then for some dumb reason, I'm just the guy with the blinders on all the time. Then I'll always be like, oh yeah, you were doing that. Yeah. Thank you.
You were an unwilling participant until you stopped and realized where you got to.
Yeah.
Till the transformation happened.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. I agree with that.
These were some great lessons, I have to tell you. Very, very powerful time spending with both of you. I'm just so glad we could work out the schedule and we could have you both on.
It was great. Thank you.
It was fun.
Danielle and Brett Bohlman from Highway 7 Service Center in small little town, Newell, Iowa.
I love it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Carm.
Thanks, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.